was going to say, pull up a chair.
See if I can turn my mic on here.
Oh.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? We have 18 baptisms this morning. So we've got a lot of people in a lot of different places, and hopefully we'll see more people making their way here. So today we're going to talk about our outreach pillars, and in particular about housing. But before we get to housing, what I want to do is talk to you a little bit about kind of the core commitments that we've made as a church, which really are representative of the things that we've been doing at Christ Church for many, many years. So when I describe kind of our outreach pillars, these, again, represent a snapshot of what we're doing, but of course we always know that the Lord spurs and invites us into new ways of thinking, and so who knows where we will ultimately be led as we continue the work that this church has done for nearly 100 years. So as a church, we often talk about faith, of course, and discipleship and formation, but we know that there's another way that we practice our faith, and one that has always been at the heart of Christ Church. We practice our faith by showing up for our neighbors. We show up by serving, by caring, and by doing what we can to build a more just and compassionate Charlotte. So again, this morning, I want you to see a framework that now guides all of our outreach work. 4 outreach pillars. They are simple. They're meant to connect deeply with the things that we need in our own lives. They're meant to help us to understand and develop a kind of shared language around here at Christ Church, something that children can understand, something that youth can understand, something that our adults can understand. And they are these 4 things. First, a place to call home. We believe, of course, that every person deserves stability, and that begins with housing. Through community partners and advocacy and direct support, we help find our neighbors a safe and stable place to live. This, of course, isn't just about buildings, it's about dignity. It's about families having a place where children can sleep safely, study, and dream. A place to call home. Right next to that is a chance to learn and grow. We believe that every child, every adult carries God-given possibility, and that through early childhood programs and tutoring and mentoring and school partnerships, we can and have and will continue to help open doors so that all learners in our city have opportunities to grow. Our goal is simple, that every person has the chance to learn and imagine a future and step into it with confidence. A chance to learn and grow. Third, support when life gets hard. Of course, we all know that life can turn quickly. It can be illness and job loss and unexpected crises. They come for all of us. And this pillar, then, is where compassion becomes very practical. It's about food and essentials, period products, crisis assistance. It's about helping people get through the hardest moments of their lives. And it's our way of saying that you're not alone, that this community stands with you. Support when life gets hard. And then fourth, building a more loving world, which is really about fostering understanding and collaboration across difference, or understanding, healing, and relationship that's built and that becomes a part of our lives. This pillar speaks to the kind of city and to the kind of church we want to be. Charlotte is, of course, rich and diverse, but also, as we know, divided in many ways. And so this pillar is about relationships, about listening, about learning across difference, about working together for the common good. In a world that often sort of sorts people into camps, we choose to be bridge builders. We choose to foster an understanding and collaboration. We choose to practice the kind of love that Jesus showed, love across lines, love that heals, love that makes room for one another. These 4 pillars are not merely programs. They are our commitments. They are the ways that we believe that Christ Church can bring light and hope to our community. And they are our invitation to you, to your family, and to all of us to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. In the coming months, you'll hear more about each pillar and opportunities for all ages to learn, ways to serve, and we'll be sharing stories of impact along the way. But today, I simply want to invite you to hold each into your own heart. A place to call home, a chance to learn and grow, support when life gets hard, and fostering an understanding and collaboration across difference. 4 pillars, 1 mission, serving God by serving our neighbors, and building a more loving world together. Today, we have a wonderful panel, and I'm going to turn it over to Laura, our Director of Mission and Outreach, as we reflect on our first pillar, a place to call home.
Thank you, Chip. I am just so happy to be here with you all. Happy New Year. Thank you for being with us and for engaging in this conversation. I've got 2 of my favorite people in this work, not that I pick favorites, but these women I've worked alongside in my 8 years at Christ Church, and they are just such a force in this city, in the world of housing and supporting our unhoused neighbors. So I am excited to introduce Elizabeth Kurtz and Alice Marlowe, who might look familiar to many of you. I'm going to read a little bio on both of them, and you might hear why I enjoy my time spent with them so much. I feel like we're all a bit the same. Alice loves people, big ideas, and building community. As CFH's Chief Engagement Officer, she leads fundraising, volunteer engagement, and communications, and swears she has the best job in the world because she gets to share CFH's mission with anyone who will listen. Now, I swear I have the best job in the world, so we might have to challenge each other on that. Born and raised across multiple countries, Alice learned early that relationships are everything. She holds both a BA and an MBA from Queen's University, go Royals, and brings a heart for service shaped by experiences from Honduras to Habitat. Outside of work, you'll find Alice hanging out with her husband and 2 young kids, tending to her garden, reading, or hunting for the perfect taco. Welcome, Alice. Welcome back to Christ Church. Elizabeth has been part of the Charlotte family housing story since day 1, as has Christ Church.
Yes.
With a background in property management and multifamily housing and a master's in nonprofit leadership and management, she brings both heart and know-how to her role as executive director. A natural connector and big picture thinker, Elizabeth blends her experiences in both the for-profit and nonprofit worlds to champion families with compassion, strategy, and a whole lot of grit. She's all about empowering people and changing systems, which is why we get along. She's a proud UVA grad, mom to 2 amazing college-age sons, and a self-proclaimed History Channel enthusiast, so don't challenge her on trivia night. So we are thrilled to have Elizabeth here as well, and thank you for saying yes to this conversation.
Thank you for the invitation.
Throughout the morning, we're going to talk with Alice and Elizabeth specifically about the work of Charlotte Family Housing, but also holistically about the approach that we take at Christ Church around housing and our partnerships. Because I want, as Chip mentioned, this is all of our work. I'm passionate about that. I think it's important that you know that it's not just about the generosity and asking the parish to provide things in the way of drives and funding and such, but this truly is, outreach is all of our work, and I want to make sure you all see yourselves in this work and see ways that you can engage And I mean that from the very smallest person at Christ Church to the very oldest person at Christ Church. We all have a place. And it's important to the fabric of what Christ Church has always been about, and it's why I do the work that I do. So let's have a great conversation. I want to start by thinking a little bit about what home means. And in doing that, I looked up some definitions online, and Merriam-Webster says the definition of home is one's place of residence, a domicile. The Cambridge Dictionary says a house, apartment, et cetera, where you live, especially with your family. There are lots of different things along those lines. One of them that was interesting says a home is a place where you live and feel comfortable, safe, and at ease. For us at Christ Church, this is our spiritual home. So I think of this as not only the place where I come to work, but it's also the place I come to pray. I feel support, I feel loved, I feel seen and known. But I think about what that would feel like if I didn't have a place to go every night. We experience that with neighbors on Sunday nights when they come in here to room in the inn, and you see them carrying all of their bags and everything that they own in a few shopping bags or in a suitcase, and shuffling from one church to the next, and every night being someplace new and a different shower and a different bed, and that's unsettling to me to think that that's how so many people in our community live. And so, tell us a little bit about what that means to be unhoused.
Yeah, it was interesting as Chip was doing the intro and talking about the 4 pillars and a place to call home, housing, and stability. And that's exactly it. When we think of home, and you close your eyes for a second and think about what home feels like to you and what home means to you, you're not thinking about the plumbing or the drywall or the shower. You're thinking about that feeling of stability and belonging and safety. And that's really what home means. Housing is just a piece of home. It's really the stability and the feeling of love that's really important.
You all did a wonderful video recently that, if you're not crying at the end of this video, I don't know. I'm going to invite Hunter to share that. It's really special. So indulge me for a moment.
Morning class, that was the bell. Morning assignment is on.
This is the couch where me and my brother sleep. Right now, we live at my aunt's house. She lets us stay because our old apartment got too expensive. I miss having my own room, but it's fun to play video games with my cousins every night. I know Mom's working hard to save up so we can have our own home again.
This is our car. It's red, my favorite color. Mom and I sleep on the back seat. Sometimes it's hard to get comfortable, but even on cold nights, Mom makes sure we're snuggled up and warm. I like looking out the window at night and seeing the stars.
This is a family shelter. We have our own rooms with bunk beds. I get the top bunk. It can be loud since there are lots of people here. But I'm making friends with our neighbors, and last night we all had pizza together. Mom doesn't worry as much about keeping us safe here. She always says this is a stop on the way to something better.
Families without houses sleep in all kinds of places. Some kids sleep on couches.
Some in cars.
And some in shelters.
Every home looks different, but every kid deserves safety, care, and a place to grow up and dream about their future.
I still cry.
I know. Tell us a little bit about that. And
Yeah, I love that one because I think it dispels so many myths about our neighbors experiencing homelessness. There are a lot of families. The scary thing is that family homelessness increased 25% in 2024 after years of going down. So it's a big challenge to find some place to call for our families to call home and get them back stable. These are the folks that are working hard in our community. There are bus drivers, there are call center workers, there are healthcare professionals. So many of our neighbors are unstably housed.
that's hard to think about.
Yeah.
I was telling you before we started today, for those of you who don't know, I think it would be hard to not know here because we talk about it kind of nonstop during these winter months. But on Sunday nights at Christ Church, we host 12 unhoused neighbors in the Blue Room for a meal, a shower if they would choose, and a night's sleep. We're emergency overflow shelter through the Room in the Inn program through Roof Above. And we've done this, we did it long before I got here 8 years ago, and we've been a part of the program for a long time. Typically, for many years, it felt like we had mostly men because in the shelter system, women and children had priority. So on occasion, you would see a mom or a family unit with a child over the years, but mostly it was men that we had. This year, every single weekend has been women, and we have had children every single weekend. And on multiple weekends, we've had mothers with twins, different sets of twins. We've had pregnant mothers. It has been, we've had to use our pack and play. Y'all, we don't ever pull out the pack and play. It's, something is shifting, and it's really, really hard to see. It means that, for one, we don't have enough room in the shelters for families, or they're not meeting the criteria for some reason. And can you speak to that? We've talked a little bit about that, like what it means to be a mom with children, but childcare is expensive, so you can't hold down a job because you can't afford childcare while you're working,
Yeah,
Explain
it's
that. Maybe tell us a little bit about the criteria to join the Charlotte Family Housing Program and your approach to that.
Yeah, let me start there. So for us, we don't necessarily see housing as the problem that we are trying to solve. We look at all of the areas of stability that support somebody being in housing and being able to maintain housing. What we have come to learn over the years is, and again, I was thinking about those pillars, it really comes down to 6 things. So it's a stable, steady income that covers all of your bills. And as housing has gotten more expensive, we're seeing more and more families just simply getting priced out of Charlotte. The financial literacy skills and savings habits to be able to really effectively manage your money. Access to childcare. That is a massive one, to your point. If you don't have childcare, you can't work. The other one is reliable transportation. You got to be able to get to work and get to pick up the kids and all of that. Access to healthcare, both physical healthcare and mental healthcare. And then finally, a stable, steady, positive support network that can kind of walk alongside when something goes wrong. And if all of those 6 things are firing, housing will naturally support itself. So for the families that we serve, often what we see is at least one of those, normally multiple things, have somehow come undone and pitched them into homelessness. And then it's those aspects that we really focus on through their time in the program so that they are able to maintain housing moving forward. We specifically serve working families experiencing homelessness. So you've got to be a Mecklenburg County resident, working at least 30 hours a week, and there needs to be at least 1 minor child in the household. Our basic minimum criteria, and then everything else we can help you problem solve for.
But your families otherwise can look like, it could be a grandmother. It
Yeah,
can be a-
absolutely. We are one of the 96% of the families that we serve are single mom led, but intact families, multi-generational families, siblings raising kids together. If you define yourself as a family, in our hearts, you're a family.
How are families referred to you? Are they coming from other shelters? Are they coming, how are you?
A little bit of everything. Bottom line, if you Google any iteration of family homelessness in Charlotte, you're going to land on our website. So we want to make sure that when folks Google and find us, they're welcomed through the website. And even if for some reason we don't fit their needs, when they call us, we will make sure that we can point them in the right direction. We do a lot with our partners in CMS with the McKinney-Vento social workers, a lot of human resources departments for some of our major employers if their employees destabilize, and a lot of other partner agencies throughout Charlotte. We work very closely with the Continuum of Care, Salvation Army, Safe Alliance. All of us kind of want to make sure that we get folks the services that they need.
Okay.
And can I just
please.
quickly jump in? So those corporate partners that refer us, y'all, like, we're not talking about like maybe where your brain might go. Like, we're talking about like Atrium.
Yeah.
Like, we have great partnerships with Atrium because so many, I cannot tell you how many moms come back to our shelter wearing scrubs. So they've spent a long day working at the hospital, maybe taking care of people that are sick, or being the first person that you meet when you go to like a dermatologist appointment or something like that. And then they'll come home to us at the shelter. So it's these bigger corporations. It's people that work in the call centers at Wells Fargo. Like, it's the big name companies in our city that when you have not moved up, or you are kind of in those entry-level jobs, you're simply not making enough to afford to live with one income and potentially with one or more children. CMS numbers are crazy. The McKinney-Vento of how many children last school year were unstably housed, there may be guesses. It was roughly 5,300 children in Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system that did not have a stable place to call home. So that may mean they were doubled up. That may mean they were at motels.
And those were the ones within the school system. Going
Yes.
back to the story of the moms with the little kids,
Yeah.
those haven't even hit CMS yet,
Yeah.
numbers, because childcare is a lot more expensive when you're little.
Something interesting that I was talking to a Communities and Schools partner just the other day, and Communities and Schools is one of our other partnerships that we'll look into when we talk about education in a few weeks. But did you all know that Myers Park High School, right in our backyard, has the most McKinney-Vento students? It's also very large, but it's right here in our backyard, and many of our children went there, and so many of their students are unhoused. It's astounding, really. It's the students that are experiencing homelessness. And the McKinney-Vento law was passed, and this was a good thing for people experiencing homelessness, that if you lose your stable housing, your child can stay at the school that is their home school, so that the child then doesn't, if you're couch hopping or staying in a hotel or any of or in a shelter that's outside of the zoning for the school that your children were in, your children don't have to keep moving around to different schools. They can have the stability of their education, which I think is so important.
Yeah.
Yep.
And CMS also has to provide transportation.
Transportation.
So the really interesting thing you'll see at the beginning of the school year at our shelter is numerous school buses and then taxis that come to our shelter. Because if there are one or two children at our shelter that need to get to a school, they will then ride in a taxi to their school. So there's these great, I'm always reminded sort of the humanity of it as a mother, like putting my children in a taxi to get to school. There's a brilliance to it, right? Like, they get to go back to that same school, they get to go to the teachers they know, but also like putting your young children in a taxi, Yeah,
frightening, yeah.
it's frightening. It's hard. And I think that's just one layer of what our families experience, because our mothers know that they need to go to work and they're the sole breadwinner, so they need to be maintaining those hours. So I think I'm always just reminded about how many different things our families are carrying, and it makes me have even more pride in what our families are able to accomplish within the program. But there's just a lot there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not to kind of take the conversation where you didn't want it to go, but the other interesting thing is McKinney-Vento, the Department of Education's definition of homeless is a lot broader than what HUD prioritizes. So McKinney-Vento and Charlotte Family Housing, let's face it, if you're couch surfing, if you're hanging on by your fingernails in a hotel, you are homeless, right? You are not stable. HUD does not, for their prioritization, doesn't see those families as homeless. And so a lot of the HUD, the federal supports around homelessness, our families don't qualify for.
Well, and that's interesting because it goes back to what we were discussing in the very beginning around what is home. And if you're on someone's couch or in a hotel where you don't have your own things and you're dating, that really doesn't.
It's not home.
It's not taking care of those emotional, social emotional needs that home provides for so many.
Yeah.
Can you tell me, and this is a little different, but you are the subject matter expert here on the stage today. So a little bit about, you deal specifically with families and working families, which I think is so important. I think there are so many misconceptions around who are experiencing homelessness. But who are some of the other big populations that we see in the shelters? If we think about a roof above shelter or those types. I mean, I know you're in the work. So,
we specifically work with working families.
Sure.
One of the things, obviously, families, what the families' needs and the folks who are single experiencing homelessness, a little bit different needs, a little bit of different drivers. What we are seeing in our community that is just really breaks my heart is the increase in senior homelessness is growing exponentially. Years ago, it didn't exist, and what Roof Above is seeing is I think it's a 5-fold increase in folks over the age of 55 experiencing homelessness. It's just awful, and it all comes down to people on fixed incomes getting priced out of the market.
yeah.
Did that answer your question as
it
much
did.
as you
It did. I
wanted-
think
as
we did
thoroughly as
talk
you
about
wanted
the
to?
fact that we're seeing in the trends a little bit. Veterans seem to be housing. There seems to be a trend in veteran housing, which is great.
Which is a positive
Which is a
trend.
positive
Over the
thing.
last because we focused so much effort over the last decade or so on veterans, we've decreased veteran homelessness by over 30%.
That's fantastic.
But I think I said this earlier, family homelessness has increased by 25%.
Yeah. Well, you all have taken the approach, as have Roof Above and so many of our partners, to include even the affordable housing communities like the one that we've recently invested in at Shamrock Gardens, these naturally occurring affordable housing communities, and that is to provide wraparound services, and understanding that when people are living in such a vulnerable state, even if they can afford the housing that they're living in, for instance, the people at Shamrock Gardens are in an affordable housing community, all the other things, they're living on a shoestring and paycheck to paycheck, and all of the stressors that go along with that. So providing that supportive layer, in our case at Shamrock Gardens, we help provide the atrium health worker that's there on campus, and she helps connect the community to feeding programs, childcare, affordable childcare. I was there over the holidays, and there was a woman from a workforce development program. They partner with Commonwealth that we are in partnership with, and you are too, for financial counseling. And so it's this notion that we shouldn't have to do all of this by ourselves. I mean, life is hard for life is hard. And so to be able to have that extra supportive care is really a great tool. And tell us about how you utilize different partners and work to support your Charlotte Family Housing clients.
Yeah.
Maybe.
We kind of see ourselves as the quarterback a little bit of, we make sure that our families can access, that's one of the biggest things, challenges that families face, or folks in general, right, is affordability and access. So we want to make sure that our families have access to everything that they need to be able to support all of those areas of their lives that we've talked about. And we do it in alignment with lots of partners like Commonwealth, like Atrium, making sure that the folks who are the subject matter experts on workforce development, on financial literacy, on mental health, whatever it is, that they can do what they do, and we can just get our families in the front door.
We have an amazing
support
group
them.
of social workers. So every family that comes into our program has their own social worker. And not to throw like another metaphor along with a quarterback, but our social workers frequently refer to themselves as the GPS for our families. So they're never telling our families where they should go or what they should do. They're talking to our families and saying what are your goals? Where do you want to go in life? Where do you want to be with your kids? And once our families are in a position to identify those goals, then our social worker team comes along as a GPS and says, well, here's the path you can take. And, oh, maybe we took a wrong turn, here's how we redirect. And so I love that idea that our social workers aren't, they're not telling our families what they need or what they want to be, but they're walking alongside them in partnership as they achieve their goals. And I think that's, with our social workers guiding them to Commonwealth to say oh, we're struggling with our budget. Commonwealth has these amazing financial literacy folks. They can help you with that. Or, oh, you want to be a homeowner one day? Come take these home ownership classes at Habitat because they're brilliant and they know how to set you up for that. And so they just help plug our families into all those great resources that I know y'all know so well.
I love that walking alongside. We talk about that so much in outreach here, that's what we are here to do, is not go into our partnerships and our or even with our neighbors, tell them how things should be done. I couldn't even imagine what it would be like to walk in the shoes of some of these strong, resilient neighbors that we have. And we are in a position of just tremendous resource, and we can walk alongside and listen to and see how we can help, maybe, just shepherd a little bit folks. And so I love that idea that that's what you would do, and that's what I hope we are to you all as partners, is that we are walking alongside you. Before I move on to kind of a shift in the conversation a little bit, I'd love to hear from both of you, what would you want us to know about your clients, your folks? If there was something you would want us to know about their resilience or their just who they are and what you would want us to know about them in general.
Are you guys looking at me?
I'm looking at you.
Oh my gosh. I mean, there's so much. I think my first thing would just be come be with us. I think because I want you to meet our families and I want you to spend time with them. It seems shallow and overused to say our families are inspiring, but the parents and the children that are in our space are some of the most hardworking, resilient people I have met. They are carrying the weight of the world. well, I constantly come into the office and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I lived a whole life when I arrive at 9 o'clock after getting my 2 kids to school. And, you know, I drive them to school in my nice car, and I have a husband that goes to work, and I have help and all these things. And then I find myself in the shelter, and we have parents who maybe are CATS bus drivers, and they work the second shift. So they start their work at 4, and they end their jobs at 2, and then they go pick up their children from their family members who have been looking after them while they work, and then they come back to the shelter. And I think just about how many plates these families are carrying, and I think about how many obstacles just are built up in our economy, in our city, that are working against our families, and yet they wake up every morning and they keep doing it. And they do it for their children, and they do it for the hope that life can be better. And it's not always easy, and it's not always pretty, but like, come be with us. Laura has our contact information, and I'm jumping 5 steps ahead to like how you can engage, but just come be with us, come meet the people we serve, because you'll see life differently.
Yeah.
I think.
And they're folks that you want to know. Like, when you come into the shelter, you want to sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah.
And to me, the thing that is so cool is how much joy and hope our families still have when they're in the shelter. At a moment when I would crawl under the bed and be like, this is it, I give up. And these families that are still together and laughing and finding joy and hope and looking forward to whatever is next, just brings me so much joy. If you go on our website, and we've got lots of client pictures on there. One of my favorites is a client by the name of Tabitha, and it's a picture of her just cracking up. She's one of the funniest people I have ever met. She's just got like this wicked sense of humor. And then she does this really cool thing about kind of how her time in the shelter brought her family closer together. But she's so fun and funny.
And she's a crane operator.
And she's a crane operator.
She's one of the only, to add to that, like, she's
a badass.
Yes, I didn't know if we could say that in church, but
You can say that.
okay, like,
I'm saying it.
She's one of the few female crane operators, and she also is the mother to 3 children and took in her sister's children when her sister could not care for her children. So she's mothering 7 kids, and is a crane operator, and has dreams for home ownership, and is taking every Habitat class she can, and she has this joy, and she's starting to build our Habitat house, and we're dreaming about how we can be out at that Habitat site, and maybe how y'all can be out at that Habitat site, and she can have a home. And so there's all this beauty and good and joy mixed in with a lot of that hardness too.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing those things. And that was a great segue. This is, again, why we are so simpatico. I would like to share with all of you a little bit about our approach at Christ Church and in outreach here to the spectrum of housing that we support. As you know, we have an Outreach and Mission Commission, and they are just a wonderful, faithful group of volunteers that not only support the work of outreach, I see some of you here in the audience today, support the work of outreach, but what many of you don't realize is that they do the hard work every year of reading through all of the many grant applications that come in from all over the city, from amazing, amazing nonprofit organizations doing amazing work, and then deciding how the generosity of this place is going to be dispersed throughout the community. So we have some criteria, but we also, we really are thinking of these relationships as long-term. The organizations we partner with, we want to be in relationship, and by relationship we mean not just funding, but we want opportunities for engagement. We want for our folks to be able to be in community, walking alongside our neighbors. But in the housing world, we also want to be able to provide a spectrum. As you've heard me refer to emergency shelter. There are Room in the Inn is emergency winter shelter. We have then shelters for domestic abuse, like Safe Alliance, which has been a longtime partner, the men's shelter, of course, Charlotte Family Housing. Then we have organizations like Dahlia Grove that is very specific. It's the sister community to Thistle Farms here in Charlotte that has a very specific mission around trauma and caring for women and creating home for women while they're on that healing journey. And we moved all the way to home ownership with Habitat. So we have, and now the addition of this supportive, the Shamrock Gardens community, which is an affordable housing community. So we really do try to have partners across the whole spectrum of housing so that when a neighbor comes into Christ Church or calls into Christ Church in need of assistance, we have trusted partners in the community that we can refer them to, that we can have conversations and help walk along these folks. We do have neighbors here right on Providence Road that will show up in the rotunda looking for assistance, and although it's not our way typically to provide direct assistance, we do have a vast network of partners that we can call. I can call Elizabeth if I feel like it's a family that meets their criteria, or I can call Roof Above or any of that I just mentioned and say, this is Laura at Christ Church, or this is Harrison at Christ Church, and we have a neighbor that's in need. And it is really, it's a good feeling to know that we have these partnerships, and it's not just funding, but it's deep relationship and engagement. So, and advocacy. I think that's another important part. We are in the community advocating for the work that you do. Hopefully, many of you have probably had the opportunity to get to know many of our partners over the years, and probably are doing your own advocacy work in different ways out in the community, and I appreciate that. Engagement is something that we constantly are challenged with. And I'm going to call on somebody here in the audience who has taken engagement at Christ Church to a whole new level. I'm going to put her on the spot, but she knows that I am. So Paula Moss has been planted here a bit in the audience, and it's timely because Paula happens to be the chairwoman of Charlotte Family Housing's board currently. She's long been on the board at Charlotte Family Housing. She's been an outreach commission member at Christ Church for many years, has rolled off recently, but has done that. And for, I don't even know how many years, Paula, you've been a faithful member of our Room in the Inn steering committee. I mean, she doesn't even know. She doesn't even know. So if I may, would you share with us your why and why housing's important to you, but also your why for the engagement piece of it, and your challenge to us, maybe.
I'm kind of a loud one. We're just going to go with it. To me, it's hard to solve your other problems if you don't have a place to sleep in them. And so I think that housing starts with fixing all your problems. And so I love that Christ Church has done such a great job with partnering with these great organizations. I think now am I? But one of the things that I have been always passionate about is the Roof Above program, Room in the Inn. What I will say is that this has been a program that has been very successful at this church for years. And it's also one that you can engage on in any age or stage of your life. We have the kids who come, and I know they don't make their beds at home, but they love to come and make beds and make our neighbors feel comfortable when they come to Christ Church for Room in the Inn. One of the challenges that we have with the program is that we have had a bunch of very faithful volunteers who have come to the church, stayed overnight with the program, and they're starting to get a little bit older. They're kind of saying, we've done that. It's time for the next wave of volunteers to come in. And so I will say there's two places that we really, really need your help. One is driving the bus, and I will tell you that I do it. And the second is to stay overnight. It is not the most comfortable night that you have. I will promise you that the sofas here and the beds here are comfortable, but you'll wake up the next day and you'll be kind of like if you'd been on a flight from California, a little jet lagged for the day. But without it, as I said, we have had every single night this year children. And if they're not staying at Christ Church, they're staying in their car with their mom. And when you drive that bus and you see them go and back to their car, it is heartbreaking. So I will tell you that there's 11 more weeks this year. How many of you, that means that I need 22, because you always have a partner. I need 22 who will stand with me and say, for one night this year, I'm willing to stay overnight. I see a hand, yay! Okay, now I
Paula.
need 21. 20.
Paula, I gotcha.
19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8,
I'll do it again.
7. I think that gives us a great start. Thank you. Bus driving also is very important to us. It's actually a pretty easy gig. At night, they leave the church around 5:30, go and pick the neighbors up at Roof Above, and then come back. You've got to get with Nikki to get training on it. In the morning, if you're someone who likes to go to the gym in the morning and you're an early riser anyway, you arrive and about 5:45, pick up the neighbors, take them to Roof Above and the transit center and back. It's an hour thing. But if any of you guys are interested in doing that, again, we struggle with that all the time. So please get with Laura or anyone else. And what I was inspired about by this group who just said they volunteered is the number of women who said yes. So thank you.
Thank you, Paula. I couldn't have said that better. I shameful plug here, but shameless plug here, but I just, Paula has been just such a faithful volunteer and so committed to the work of housing at Christ Church over the years, and I thank you so much. I know. I mean, seriously. I couldn't have done it any better. So I know. It's amazing. I do want to get to any questions that people might have had, but the other thing I want to say is we are on the eve of our habitat build, and it is going to start on February 20th. So get ready, you're going to start seeing all of the amazing communications about that. And y'all, it is fun. And I see Vic, and I see some of our other volunteers out here, Michelle, and others that are Jeannie. We've got some of our just faithful habitat volunteers. This will be our 38th. I mean, I think we're always sorta-ish. We're not, I mean, we've built so many houses in Charlotte. It's amazing. It's fun. You don't have to have skill. You're taught I mean, if I can get out there and build a house, y'all, anybody can do it, because we can do it. But if you have a family that wants to be involved and the kids are, because you have to be at least 16 to be out on site. Great opportunity for our youth and college students. But if you have children and families that want to be involved, get a couple of families together and make lunch or snacks or cookies for the builders and drop it off. I mean, it's a great opportunity to teach your families about giving back and being in service to community. It's fun to go out to the site. Lots coming up with that. We're going to have a kickoff breakfast in a few weeks. So stay tuned for all of that. And then before I end with to entertain some questions, I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you to Christ Church. We asked so much of all of you from the Intergenerational Service Day, which was a huge success right here in this room. I couldn't even have imagined how chaotic and fun and special it could have been. And every age and stage participated, from CCK to the grandparents to the youth. It was an amazing day, and we were able to get those boxes up to Bat Cave. Thank you, Laura Copps and others that took boxes up to Bat Cave to feed our neighbors. We exhausted you all with drives because there was so much need between SNAP benefits ending and all the hunger. That we exhausted you with drives. Thank you, thank you, thank you for showing up in such a big way. Y'all, over $50,000 in the plate at Christmas that's going to go to feeding ministries. I'm humbled and overwhelmed. Thank you. So it's the beginning of the year. We have a couple more weeks to talk about other partnerships, exciting work and outreach. I am so honored to do this work with you, and let's do this together. There's so much work to be done, and I look forward to engaging with all of you. So I'm going to see if there are any questions, and if there are, we will answer them. There is one that does Charlotte Family Housing have their own shelter. You have?
We do. So we are not an emergency shelter, but our families start with us in our transitional housing shelter. It's a big 15-bedroom house over off of the plaza. Kind of think like a sorority house, right? Each family has their own bedroom, shared kitchen space, dining space, great big living room where folks can hang out. We do a lot of programming there. And we always say that the shelter is really where the healing begins for our families, because going back to the need for stable housing, right? You come home, the lights are on, there's food in the fridge, there aren't any scary notices on the door. There are other folks there going through the same thing. And we find that it's that moment that's sort of an inflection point for our families to begin to build their hope again, rebuild their self-esteem of, oh, well, it's not just me. Maybe I'm not the only one who's in my car. Alice is here too, and she's clearly got it together. And maybe it is the system. Maybe it's not just me. And that's really where our families begin to rebuild their belief in their own capabilities. And we just kind of help shine that mirror back on them. And then we get our families back into up to 2 years of supportive housing through Charlotte Family Housing. But yes, that shelter piece is key.
Thank you. One last question. What insight for actionable change would you like to leave us knowing, or that you shared with us? Like, what can we as individuals at Christ Church do? Advocate for specific policy change?